Roll. Ask Ms. Hamilton if you'll call the roll. We do have Mr. Hostetler join us virtually, so we'll go from there.
Mr. Hostetler?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Wallace?
Here.
Mr. Corman?
Present.
Mr. Ellison?
Here.
Mr. Pratt?
Here.
Mr. Livingston?
Here.
Mr. Culbertson?
Here.
Judge Covington?
Present. Very good. Next item on our agenda is consideration and approval of the previous meeting's minutes. Are there any questions or comments related to those as presented? Motion to approve from Mr. Kelly Corman, second from Mr. Jones. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item, number 5, transfers. And this was a considerable list. It was shared by Michelle Ray, our treasurer. Questions or comments about any of those transfers?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Livingston. Second from Mr. Ellison. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Bills and hand checks. Questions or comments? Would there be a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Livingston.
Second.
Second from Mr. Wallace. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let the record reflect that clerk fees in the amount of $129,998.82 for January were submitted by the Scott County Clerk's Office. Let the record reflect that sheriff's fees in the amount of $92,579.21 for February were submitted as well on behalf of Sheriff Tony Hampton. Any other questions or comments there? Number 9, Sheriff's Office surplus. I have a list here that was shared by email. 215 Dodge Charger, transmission electrical issues noted. 214 Explorer all-wheel drive, transmission issues. And in 2016 Explorer 4x4 steering issues. These were submitted on February 26th by J.R. Brandenburg. Any questions or comments?
So once they're surplus, are we going to auction them off, or is that the plan?
Yes.
Okay.
We strip the equipment off
Yeah.
of them and the stripes and everything, we're going to auction.
Online auction?
Probably so.
Okay. Thank you.
Question or comment? Other? Would there be a motion?
Motion.
Motion for Mr. Jones, second for Mr. Ellison. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Sheriff's Office project I submitted to you by email from Ian Beatty with Branstetter Carroll. This was a change on the project, change request on the project that amounts to $5,830.33 related to access control wiring and change in placement of an office access. And I gave you a detailed cost breakout of that as well from DeVere Construction. Ian has reviewed that and feels like that is appropriate on the costs and the estimate. This, what they're proposing is that this would just come from our contingency. Questions or comments? I know this is small, but I try to bring you all this stuff so you know what's going on.
You don't even need a motion, do you?
I don't,
Okay.
but
Just making us aware.
I'm making you aware, so I'm going to sign off on that.
Yeah.
And
And Judge, can, like on our timeline, are we on timeline because of the?
we're a little bit behind,
Okay.
but they feel certain that once we get up, that we get multiple trades on site, that we'll make up the time.
Okay.
And that's been shared at the last 2 meetings.
Okay.
Would,
Thank you.
do you mind explaining real quickly on why we don't have to vote on that? Just for public knowledge.
Sure.
Because I think it's important that, well, you go ahead, because
Well, I'm
I'll end up
authorized.
explaining it without
I'm authorized to make those expenditures that are below that threshold of 40 if the project's approved. But I like to bring items. I'm one vote, but it's our court, and you all are elected, and I like to let everybody know what's going on as much as possible.
Thank you.
Quick question on that real quick. If say certain change orders keep adding up, if it gets over 40, then do you have to do it, or is it just per
Yes.
change order?
If it goes over 40, we for sure do it.
I mean, but like,
Yeah.
say you have multiple ones that are like 5,000, does it build up, or?
It probably should build up.
Yeah.
Because
the
at a
way-
certain point, you would think it would have to be
The way the
approved.
statute's written, I guess, is it gives a limit, and what you're not supposed to do is break up projects to avoid the vote.
Yeah,
But on something like this, you're not breaking up the project to
Yeah.
avoid the vote. It's just things that are coming as you go. So
And
I don't
our
know
hope
that you
is,
have to. You can, but I don't think you're required to.
our hope
Is that
is
right?
that the planning, I don't think
That's
we're
right,
required.
David.
I have to bring every change order.
I think what you're doing now.
Yeah,
is the
well,
way
I
to
think
do
it's
it.
different for
Bring them
schools
back.
possibly.
What'd you say, Ken?
I said, I think what he's doing now is the way to do it, is
Yeah.
just bring it to your
Yeah,
attention.
Yeah.
awareness is the big thing.
Right.
Unless
Yeah.
it's like a $500
Right.
thing, or if that, like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a number on it, but if it's very
They're
minor,
asking for 500, they need to do it themselves.
yeah. But like,
Well said.
I just, my practice is to bring this to you all because you all are the fiscal court. And
appreciate
In this
that.
together.
yes, we are in this
I
together.
didn't mean to start a whole conversation. I think it's just important that people sometimes don't see how actions and processes work, and the fact that you could do all this without even bringing it
Exactly.
before us if it's under 40,000.
Yeah.
So I'll sign that and get that submitted so that can be navigated. And next item, Resolution 2407, Election Equipment Grant. This has no match to it. It's 51,000. It's actually 53,164. I'll ask Cam to read it, but we're not going to leave any dollar on the table, and this is going to provide for additional equipment.
All right, 2407, House Bill 1, County Clerk Election Equipment Grant, authorizing resolution, County of Scott. Adoption of a resolution of the Scott County Fiscal Court authorizing the filing of the Kentucky House Bill HB 1, County Clerk's Election Equipment Grant application for up to $53,164 in HB 1 project funds with the Department for Local Government, DLG. Authorizing and directing the Scott County Judge Executive to execute any documents which are deemed necessary by DLG to carry out this project, and authorizing the Judge Executive to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. Whereas Scott County desires to purchase election equipment approved by the State Board of Elections, SBE, on behalf of the residents of Scott County by supporting the HB1 project, and whereas it is recognized that HB1 money is available to the county for the purposes stated herein pursuant to 2022 Kentucky General Assembly HB1 budget bill, impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county and will require, among other things, 1, approval of a satisfactory application transmitted to SBE for approval, and 2, other obligations of the county in connection with receiving the HB1 grant of monies for the purposes stated herein. Now therefore be it resolved this 8th day of March 2024 by the Scott County Fiscal Court that a HB1 County Clerk Election Equipment Grant application on behalf of the county for HB1 monies up to $53,164 for clerk election equipment project. Project shall be submitted to DLG. The county shall provide such additional information and furnish such documentation as may be required, and the county judge executive shall act as the authorized correspondent for this project, done this 8th day of March 2024.
Questions or comments? Motion from Mr. Pratt, second from Mr. Jones. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. This next item, Kentucky American Water Extension Agreement, Porter Road. We previously approved a resolution to this agreement back in the fall, and when we shared this, we knew that what was being shared was an estimated cost, and Kentucky American was 100% upfront with that. It was an estimated cost. Took them some time, but they eventually put this project out to bid. Once the bid numbers came back, though, it was $35,000 over the estimated cost that originally was out there, about $115,000. We had previously pledged $40,000, up to $40,000. Sadyville had pledged up to $40,000, and the developer, Kentucky Land Development Company, had pledged up to $35,000. Well, with this overage, we have to come back and address how to deal with the overage. So I proposed to Kentucky American to give me a cost estimate if we reduced the scope of the project by 200 feet and it just moved down Porter Road back towards 200 feet, what would that do on the cost? Well, that estimate of reducing that was taking off approximately $20,000. I then called Chief Ward, because the number one concern is, will this hydrant provide adequate fire safety for the construction of that Dollar General project? Chief Ward agreed that the 200 feet would not be a negative impact on fire protection. So that's what brings us to you today. We need to amend that resolution to reflect support in the amount of up to $45,000. And to be honest with you, there's $812.02 if it came out to the penny. So we might did not have to come back and do this. We might say up to $47.5 or $50 from us. Then Sadyville has pledged to add an additional $5,000 to there, which would get them up to $40, and then the developer has pledged to add $5,000 as well. Questions or comments?
Cutting it off at that 200 foot, is that going to hamper any other future development that might want to come in down there?
I couldn't, I don't think so. And if that development comes in, they need to extend it, that'd be on them. But as I've shared with you all, if that corner gets developed, then there's potential for reimbursement towards this main extension. So I don't think so, but I can't answer that 100%. And then, one of the considerations as well was that, you wanted to run it up Porter Road there, just to get it as far up Porter Road as you could. I think Rick Hosteller had a comment.
Yeah, that's what's going to be, Judge. It's not only going to enhance the service on the east side of I-75, but that's what Chief Ward was talking about. That extension going up towards the interstate itself will allow them to run hoses and go right over the interstate on Porter Road to fight something that may happen on the other side, maybe a buzz. Or there have been some folks, I don't think anybody's looking at it now, but there have been folks looking at it across Porter Road from Love Station. So in the future, I don't know when, but there's more development coming, and this will enhance fire protection for that whole interstate exchange.
Any other questions or comments? And would there, Rick, what is your motion though? Is it to amend the previous resolution and up to $45,000 for us, or up to $47.5, or there might, it might come in just a little bit higher, or hopefully it'll come in a little lower. I haven't seen it come in lower very much.
Right. Well, I thought this was this estimate is supposed to be.
He said it'd take $20,000 off the cost. So,
Gotcha.
So do we want to say, because we have to cover that 812, So would we want to say 45,812?
Or do you want to make it 46, up to 46? Or no? What did you say? What was your number?
47,500.
It should be 45,812.
Yeah, but I was trying to give myself a little bit of cushion.
Right. I think we ought to go for the cushion. Hopefully his $40,000 reduction estimate is accurate. And it may not be, because it's just an estimate, right?
No, that was the cost that was presented. Now, he sent me an email and said, hey, if you take 200 feet off, you're going to take $20,000 off the project. So I'm taking him at that's that estimate's 20,000 off. So, we could say 45,812 and 20 cents and hold them to it.
Well, that would be my motion then.
All right. Second from Mr. Livingston.
02.
02. All right. Instead of 20, 02.
You don't want that 18-cent cushion.
He's got a second from Mr. Livingston. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all very much. That brings us to the next one.
I'm
Would-
sorry. I was writing. Who made the motion?
David Livingston was with the second. Rick was with the motion. The second one project that we're going to talk about is Tidar EMS Station project, and it is along Lexus Way. And I shared this with you all previously and broke down the estimates from Kentucky American.
Right.
So the total cost is $377,893.80. Our half, which I am asking you all to approve, is $188,946.90. I'm also asking you, and then we'll cut a check for that amount to Kentucky American. The city of Georgetown is going to do the same. But then I'm asking you to also approve a 6-inch fire service install, which is $13,745.73. 2 fire hydrants at a cost of $23,610.44, and then you have to pay the 3-year hydrant fees up front, which is $5,513.04. I'm proposing that we just go ahead and write a check for those 3 items, and then we will bill the city for that reimbursement like we do on the project. I just felt like that big chunk, if we could get the city to pay half on that big initial install, I thought that was the appropriate thing to do. Questions or comments? And then, just like what we had mentioned, that piece of property that is adjacent to the EMS station, once it becomes a development, we could see reimbursements for that water main extension. Any questions or comments, and would there be a motion?
I'll make the motion proposed on what you just
Okay.
relayed to us.
So
about us paying the money
approval
up
of $188,946.90, as well as the cost for the 6-inch fire service at $13,745.73, 2 fire hydrants install at $23,610.44, and then 3-year hydrant fees at $5,513.04, and those will be billed for half reimbursement from the city as well. So we have a motion. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Corman. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Animal control bill of sale, just kind of along the lines of the fire helmet item that we addressed. Sherry and Nathan said they had some, this is a one-time issue that had some hay that if we didn't sell was going to ruin. And it was in the amount of approximately $200. The intended use of the time was for care for neglected horses. So, you think I need to read the whole thing?
I already shared.
You'd already shared it.
Say that you
It's just-
shared it.
We shared it via email, so it's $200 bill of sale approval for that hay. Would there be a motion to accept? Motion from Mr. Ellison, second from Mr. Jones. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. This next one I am excited to share with you as well. This has been a long journey of getting to this point, but it's much needed. And it's the bid for the installation of the generators at our areas that we really feel like we need a backup generator for. And we've been working on this project for over 2 years. The cost for the electrical work and installation, the recommended bid was from A&E Electrical Solutions for $123,575. We went ahead and purchased all the generators. JR, your generator just came in. Are we lacking one? The EMS station for Stamping Ground. We're still waiting on that. Do we have an estimated time of arrival?
I think Carol said around May.
Okay.
Tentative delivery date on that.
All right. So that,
Would you wait on all of them getting in before you launch, or is it, I think once they have you all approval?
I would like to go ahead and start, and then tie that one up as soon as it gets here. So, any comments or questions related to the bid that has been recommended? Rick Hostetler.
Did you say that there was one more outstanding generator? It's when?
May is a timeline that's been shared, and it's for the Stamping Ground EMS station.
So as long as, is that contractor aware that, that it's a ways out? Are they aware of that?
They are. We've been in communication, and Shrout Tech Wilson has as well, to let them know what we have so far, and then what the expected delivery of that last remaining generator is.
Okay. Well, one other comment. I think it's worth noting that by the county direct purchasing those generators, it should have been a pretty good savings, because if the contractor had to include those in their bid, there would have been some markup for handling, and there's no markup, there has to be, but that's just part of it, about setting the generators in place and hooking them up. But that's what this bid is about. But I think it's worth noting that we save money by direct purchasing those 4 or 5 generators, however many it was.
Yeah, and actually I did go back and look at that the other day, just a rough estimate, just anticipating your all's vote to approve this on what we're going to pay for the AE to install them, and the amount of money we had invested with Shrout Tech Wilson. But I went back and looked, and in 2022, I think, is when we bid this project out. And we only got one bid, and that was for $900,000. And that didn't even include Station 1. It didn't even include the Mullis HVAC work that they've been doing to get the stations, ready to go for those generators. So we potentially saved over $500,000 by going this route. So I commend you all for doing that as well. It's a big project.
No, I'm much needed, and it will really enhance, our preparedness. Period.
Yeah.
Gives us options.
That's it. Thank you, Chief, and I'll make a motion.
Well, we thank you all.
Okay. So we got a motion. We got a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Judge, question on the generators. Did we put them in the new EMS building and the sheriff's office?
Oh,
Are
yes.
they already included?
Yeah.
Okay.
They already have them. Yes, sir.
Kind of new standard operating.
I actually tried to see if, we had already done JR's generator, like we'd spec'd it out. And I was going to try to run a wire over to JR's. They said, no, we can't do that. That don't work that way. I was trying to squeeze it, Rob.
Yeah, I like the way you think.
Now, that leads us down to ordinance 2401, budget amendment. And we'll have Cam read that amendment. And it's just, as we have shared, reflecting grant monies that have been received, and then moving those accordingly. Michelle, would you like to add anything to that? Is that accurate? And kudos to Michelle for this has been a lot of work to navigate all this.
All right. Ordinance 24-01, Scott County Fiscal Court Amendment, an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendments thereof. Whereas Scott County, Kentucky has realized unbudgeted receipts, be it ordained by Scott County of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, current fiscal year 2023-2024. The budget for the current fiscal year is amended to increase/decrease the receipts of the following funds to include unbudgeted receipts from A, revenues, Fund General, account 014504, Federal Grants, AFG, amount $178,194.54. Fund General, account 014504, Federal Grants, JAG, amount $55,600. Fund Capital Improvements, account 974504, Federal Grants, TAP, amount $215,000. Fund General, account 014510, description is State Grants, KY0AAC, DARE, amount $92,354.13. Jail Fund, account 034510, State Grants, HB1 Video, amount $35,927. So total amended revenues are $577,075.67. Appropriations, Fund General, account 015015-717, County Sheriff Law Enforcement Equipment, amount $55,600. General Fund, account 015015-10301, County Sheriff Deputies Salaries, DARE, $69,326.40. General Fund, account 015015-44501, County Sheriff Office Supplies, DARE, amount is $23,027.73. Jail Fund, account 035101-703, Jail Communications Equipment, amount is $35,927. And General Fund, account 015120-548, Fire Special Projects Exhaust System, amount $178,194.54. And the Capital Improvements, account 978001-71801, Capital Improvements, Lyle Road, TAP, amount is $215,500. So the total amended expenditures are $577,075.67. Section 2, the amounts adjusting the receipt and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes. First reading is by the Scott County Fiscal Court this 8th day of March 2024.
Questions or comments? Would there be motion to accept? Motion for Mr. Pratt, second for Mr. Jones. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings us up to special inspections proposal for the farmers market. Let me give you just a little short update from our last meeting, and I'm having a meeting today at 2 o'clock via Zoom about the construction project for the farmers market. Their intent was to start construction and putting up the fence, the construction fencing for the needed area for the farmers market project on February 15th or that week of, which is coming up. March 15th, I'm sorry. March 15th. And, the hope is the fabrication of the structure, 13 to 16 weeks. And I'm going to get an update on the exact date that the shop drawings for the fabrication of the structure was approved today at 2. So that kind of, I'll share with you all, that'll be our starting point. And hopefully then the fabrication, we know 13 to 16 weeks out. Their hope is as soon as that thing's fabricated that they haul that thing here on trucks. And as they unload, they start putting it up. That's their plan. They're going to have everything done in preparation, and then as they get those trucks unloaded, they're going to start putting it up. That's the hope, and we all know that the best made plans sometimes don't always get executed. So you know what I know after 2 o'clock today, and anybody that's free is welcome to join me. But I'll share that information with you all.
2 to 4 week install program.
I'll get that nailed down too. So today, what I'm asking you to approve is a 5723 cost estimate for special inspections, and the recommended bid was from L.E. Gregg, as shared by email. Would there be any questions or comments about that, or would there be a motion to approve that? Motion from Dwayne Ellison, second by David Livingston. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. That leads us down into new business. The fire department is a topic here that I want to bring to you, and Chief John Ward's coming forward. First item of new business that we've actually mentioned in our workshop is approval to apply for the Assistance Firefighter Grants for Fire Hose. The grant closes on March 8th, 2024 at 5. Anticipated award date begins approximately April 30th of 2024, and continues until all grant awards are issued, but no later than September 30, 2024. It would be federal resources in the amount of $307,360. Scott County match would be $15,368 for a total of $322,728. Chief, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I think that's
Got it all in a nutshell.
Yes.
They need it. I don't think we have to do a resolution, but does the grant need a resolution?
No, they don't.
They don't? All right.
Just your all's approval for us.
We need a motion to approve an application. We have a motion. We have a second for Mr. Mr. Hosteller there. The first was Mr. Ellison, and then we'll give Mr. Hosteller that energetic second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And then, as we mentioned last week, it looks, like there are very few red Tahoes, and you're asking for approval to go forward with the purchase as described by Chief Baker. You're going to use an existing 3500 pickup that's got fairly low miles to be one brush truck. You've got another Chevy with Bachman reserved, but the funds from the sale of engine 11 that's in process will go towards the purchase of these vehicles. You're just asking for us to go ahead and approve the purchase of that Tahoe, and that will kind of be the first step here. Questions or comments? Motion second by Mr. Ellison. Any other questions or comments?
Will you need money to create the brush truck?
No, with the sale of that engine 11 with $200,000, that would give us enough money to purchase the vehicles and the skid units and to stripe them and upfit them and all that. Yes. Okay. So that $200,000 will cover all that.
So we had a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you all.
And then you mentioned another item.
That's not for a vote.
That's not for a vote, but I'll read it. You shared it. E5 has a broken crankshaft and will require complete remanufactured engine. It's going to cost us about $55,000. Just so you all know. And
Of his own money.
yeah, he's not asking for any money.
Of his own nice.
Team player.
So, how long? What?
No Chevy almost I bring to you.
With that said, then we've got that covered, and it leads me to another item. And I have a slide that Sam, if you could share the slide. That area that's in a white outline, that is what I shared via email, and I've been down in that parking lot the last 2 weeks a lot, especially in the afternoons. It becomes very, very crowded, and I'm talking about the parking lot at Washington and Broadway. And with the farmers market construction fencing going up, you're going to really impact a considerable amount of more parking. You're going to make parking even less available. And in my mind, for the Justice Center, Detention Center, downtown, courthouse, the whole shooting match, it would be wise to try to add some parking. And the hope is that the Justice Center folks will use this available parking if we elect to approach the city. I'm asking for your approval to approach the city about a collaboration on putting gravel on that area. JR says they have a roller, and it'd probably be best, we can spread it and roll it. We've got the equipment to do that to save money. Probably be best because you still have snow equipment on those dump trucks to have it hauled. That's a minimal expense. But I would like your all's permission to go, and I know that the city's discussed this in the past, but just with my observations, the limited amount of parking, this would be something that would be a favorable thing especially for Justice Center patrons.
So on the right, is that a blown up picture?
Yeah, that's a blown up picture. I'm sorry. That's
confusing me.
I apologize if you're.
Look like a big grade.
So the area on the left and the smaller in that white outline is the actual area. The area on the right it's blown up with dimensions. David Livingston has a question.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so where the offset is of the white outline, is the rest of that area part of the old center of town and parking, and would you not want to go ahead and do the rest of that as well? And even even the entrance off? That's paved, right? Is it paved?
Some of it's
It's a very old picture.
Isn't that paved?
Some of it's got old blacktop on it.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to.
Lip up to it, I think.
Will it be like we did out at the Great Crossing Park when you? Okay. Can it be lined?
You could, but it won't last, David, on gravel.
But we could try to line it, and I'm asking you all for permission and approval to approach the city about a collaboration on sharing costs.
Do you need a vote or?
I would like a question, David, to Dwayne.
Like, how likely is it to be long-term parking?
That's what I'm worried about, keeping it long-term, is it just temporary?
I'm okay with it being long-term. My thought is if you're going to do it, would you go ahead and just put a base coat down? Not finish it, just put a cheap base coat down.
What's a cheap base coat? Help me understand.
Just the first layer of, they usually do 2 layers of asphalt. The first one is, they get the gravel, then they put the first, 3.5, 4 inches?
Yeah, anywhere from 2.5.
And it's, you can beat the heck out of it. It's pretty solid. You usually do construction over top of it on top of that.
What about that spray stuff they put on gravel?
Chip seal?
I don't know. It's some kind of spray they can put on gravel and make it look like blacktop. Do you know what I'm talking about, JR? Does that any count, or would that work very good here?
Almost like putting base coat.
Anything, do just like
Just do the blacktop?
Mr. Livingston said, put a base coat on it if we want to go with asphalt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Good job, Mr.
That's up to the city.
But that's up to the city. But can we say that we would, do we want to pay for half of that up to a base
Well,
coat?
I think what's important is to find out if the city has any plans in their heads about that property.
Right,
Because it's
that's
theirs.
right, yeah.
No, and they've talked about doing this, but they elected not to. But I think going back with the current status with the parking in that parking lot at Washington and Broadway, it
Maybe
just,
just get a breakdown of what it would cost to do the base coat only.
And turn it into pickleball courts.
There you go.
I mean, I think for me, it just depends on like, I don't know how much is 2,000 square feet.
they estimated,
Base
and this was just an estimate with like 12 inches of gravel. JR doesn't feel like we need 12 inches of gravel.
That's a lot.
Like it was like $35,000 with 12 inches of gravel.
How much would
6 inches.
When I go to them, what I would like to ask them to do is a collaboration between JR and the city determining what's needed, and then going from there. But 12 inches of gravel, it was estimated around 36,000.
that's almost a foot.
I think you can get a base coat on.
You know, doesn't there?
You know, but I would ask them for consideration of taking the recommendation of JR and their public works and their city engineer, and then going from there.
You need a motion.
To pay
Yeah.
half if city agrees.
I mean, and I'd like to see
David
prices
has made
for
the motion.
that, whatever base
But
coat
he ain't got a
and
second yet.
gravel, and see what the best option is. I have no idea what even the pricing would be for either one, so.
I can say that what they quoted was around 36,000 for 12 inches of gravel, but I don't think it's going to be that high. Mike,
When you're negotiating with the city, you might want to mention that that property has been contaminated. It's under review by EPA. So the only construction they could ever do is to put a parking lot there. You'd not be allowed to build a foundation. drop
we can
footers.
put a parking lot.
Yeah, but they wanted
I
to.
guess you'd have to mitigate it if you ever wanted it. You'd have to mitigate
It's not something that needs to be mitigated specifically, but they tried to build a building after center of town collapsed, and whatever was there previous to that, they buried all kinds of automobiles and.
It would cost a lot of money to mitigate it. And
Right.
build.
So having a permanent parking lot is probably their best option for that property.
So would you all want to make a motion that approves up to a dollar figure, or do you want me to find more facts out? March 15th is not that far off.
You're gonna have to put gravel on it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, either way you go.
It's under 40,000.
Gravel only helps the price come down of what.
Is that a motion?
That's your motion.
I'll second.
Motion, a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Of course, we will let you all know before we go down, putting anything down there. I have no other new business other than this. And I'm not going to be specific, but I'm going to bring this back to you on the 28th, and it is code enforcement related, and I'm just laying the foundation. There are 4 properties that 2 of them are empty lots, and one is the liens are in the amount of $40,573.16. The other is in the amount of $35,034.22. Empty lots that I'm going to recommend to you that we foreclose on. That's as simple as I can get it. There's 2 other issues that are in the $13,000, $14,000 ranges that still have structures on them, but there are still pending code enforcement issues, and we need to do something on those, in my opinion. So I'm going to bring that to you on the 28th, essentially asking for your all's approval to at least foreclose on 2 of those 4 that have empty, there's nothing on them.
Judge, can I add on to that I won't get specific, but I know there's might be one other property that we have a large lien on that so I guess what I'm trying to say is if we're going to look at doing this,
No.
let's look at
Do it
all
at
of
one
them.
time.
Yeah.
And I would value meeting with
Yeah.
you and making sure, and Cam has done some research and really has 4 separate emails
Yeah.
already queued up.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
These properties, I think, were brought to my
Here's your
attention.
emails.
Yeah, back in like December maybe.
These are Cam's
So,
emails.
I spent some time looking at what other liens were on each property. I mean, they're all kind of situated a little bit differently. I can't recall if I sent that to everyone or just to Joe.
No, it was
Pat.
just to me, and
But, I could share that with you all.
but
Are
I
they primarily tax liens?
There are a variety of different things, Kelly. It would depend on the property, and I'd have to be honest.
Clean up.
but two of them are empty lots with significant abatement.
Judgment liens.
And
Well, I guess my question would be like, if other big lien holders, why aren't they filing suit to
Well-
foreclose? I understand if we're doing it to
Yeah.
get tax money, or if I don't know the situation. I may be looking more
But
into it.
all I wanted to do today, I had no intent of other than just making you aware and then bringing it to you. We'll send you all the information and bring it to the court on the 28th.
And we've done, and the court's done before you, Judge Cody. We've done this before to take legal action on cleaning up code enforcement issues.
And I think this is appropriate and needs to be done.
It's just part of the process.
Yes, sir. Any questions or comments? Any new business from anyone?
On Lyle Road Soccer Complex, I know we're probably close to finishing
I
up.
need to schedule some event.
Yeah.
Ross Bowen, who represents Georgetown Soccer Club, has been working closely with JR. JR, are we installing that little key box today? And there'll be one key in there with a code on it. And they've put up goals, and we're going to, JR, did we determine if that gate can be dawn to dusk, or does it have to stay open at one gate? We still got to work with the.
Yes, we still got work to do.
We still got-
We would answer all that question when we install the other one, automatic ones on Lyle.
But what I'd like to do with the soccer club is schedule a time when there's going to be a bunch of teams up there, and then we show up, stretch out a ribbon, say, "There we go." So it needs to be
How's the
done.
grass? Is the field doing good?
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna.
They're coming along, and Ross Bowen had shared that they've got a bunch of grass seed that they're going to spread themselves.
Good.
And then, of course, we have the contract with Hastings Mowing that was put out to bid, and they're going to continue to mow, treat, and weed eat. And the place looks fantastic.
How are they going to spread the grass seed? You're just going to spread it?
The soccer club's going to broadcast it, I think.
You can only make,
You'd be better. They'd be better off just selling the seed and keeping the money if they're just going to broadcast. Okay,
They are going to use the cedar.
I was going to say, don't broadcast.
Well, I'll tell you
Where
this.
are they going to get this cedar at? Where are they going to get this cedar at? They'd just be wasting their money if they're just going to broadcast.
Well, I'll tell you this. I live on Crumball, and there's a sod farm behind me. And last week, before the rain, they drug it, and then they had just a broadcast. I mean, a big old trailer that he spread. I mean, hundreds of pounds of seed. That's why I was saying I thought they were just going to broadcast it.
You probably killed this first, though, right?
No, this is existing grass that needs some more to fill in.
This is actually raw set on the old part of the soccer fields, the practice.
That's where that's going. But Ryan, in my opinion, the new fields that we have, it wouldn't hurt to oversee. But let's see if the soccer club will show some love and do that. So, but it looks great, and to have bathrooms and a covered area and a parking lot.
it's come a long way.
It's come a long way.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that.
What's next?
What's next? Okay, if you're wanting to ask me, you know, we've
Pickleball, tennis.
More baseball.
pickleball and tennis is, in my opinion, what we need to look at next on the list. Any other new business?
I just have a question. Is there a city, county, state, like, road plan, like, where,
Yes, sir.
where's, you know, hey, we're gonna do this 5 years from now, we're gonna do this, whatever.
State highway plan.
And that includes the city and the county roads, so like.
Oh, no. JR compiles a list of paving recommendations that will be part of the budget.
Yeah.
He's working on that now. You want to comment?
Yes.
I didn't know if there's a way to, you know, like, understand, you know, from the whole thing, Scott County, city and county, everything, you know, what is the plan over the next, you know, 3, 5, 10 years?
We look every year, start a year in advance on what is needed. Certain roads get traveled more, they last a lot longer. So there's never a set life of a road towards repaving. But if any, and I'm working on that right now. We started last fall on compiling a list, and I'll go back and check them 2 or 3 times, and then narrow it down to fit
That's
our.
more of like a paving though, right?
Yes.
I'm talking like, you know, widening projects or
So
all those types of
Judge,
things
you
that are
speak
out
to
there.
this. The city has advocated with District 7 about extending Lexus Way all
Yes.
the way to 460.
Right. Where's that at?
Well, it's already in the comprehensive plan, I believe, and that's a protected area, so that area can't be developed in case that road's ever done.
But
there's
but
a
it's
ton of those
it's like a $7 million,
Yeah.
$8 million project. That is it itself. We agreed previously to partner with them on a raise grant application. It was unsuccessful. What I have shared, I think, is getting the state to partner on that for a raise grant, and there's. I'm fairly confident that Mayor Jenkins has gone and talked with KYTC about that. But
I'm just
let's
saying
share
a holistic view.
Well,
of roads
JR
in
and I
general.
can share you what the KYTC highway
What's their
plan
plan?
The
is.
6-year road plan, they have
6-year
one
road
that we
plan.
go over every year.
How far they go out.
Yes.
And then I will say one additional piece of information. JR and I had previously filed a request for discretionary funds to repave Triport Road at $480,000. And David helped me. I can't think of the House bill, but there's currently a House bill that lists discretionary requests, and the House is talking about funding that through the House budget. And
I think it's part of the House budget
yeah,
bill. Yeah.
but I think there's a separate bill that speaks to it as well. But I received an email asking essentially, did we want to resubmit that? I resubmitted it. We'll see if that comes through. If we got another $480,000 to repave Triport, it would save us money because in the next couple of years we're going to have to consider that. It is the most widely used road out there, and heavy stuff on that road.
And Dwayne, real quick, on the city items, don't hesitate to call Eddie Hightower over at the city. He is awesome.
Like I get those. Like I know they're going to do something at the colony. Yeah, I get information if it's affecting like a bus situation or near a school.
Sure. But I emailed Eddie probably back in beginning of January and said, have you all started looking at your paving projects for this year? And he said, we're going through that right now with the traffic committee. If you have anything in your areas, let us know. And a lot of times we may know before council members because we're districted and we live in the neighborhood that we serve.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Eddie does great. I've seen him 2 or 3 things, and he's doing great with it. So.
And if anybody has any concerns on roads, please let me know in the next couple of days, and I'll
I
look
didn't have
at
any
it.
concerns. Just like
Yeah.
like when the other questions I get are like, when are they ever going to widen Franklin Road or the Paris Pike Road? Those types of things. 25
Yeah.
north or 25 to
That's on the
that's a
6-year
Bay
road
County
plan.
side widening, on that.
We can share that, and you at least see that.
I'd say the one that I probably get the most complaints, questions about, it's not kind of really Davis District, is coming in town. Yeah, by Speedway there. and people trying to turn left, like by Aldi's, like that thing that backs up at 4 or 5 o'clock. I get probably 10 people a month. How do we fix that?
Well, and
It's a
and
state
especially
road.
on the western elementary side, coming into town, people trying to turn left into that gas station there and blocking.
That's tough.
So, where that development's happening.
And then I've talked to Joe Pat about 460 between Payne's Depot and the new high school. It's so narrow through there, and now they've connected Ward Hall Estates to 460 across from Payne's Landing, and
But those are all state roads.
But
Yeah.
Ryan, I've talked to Joe Kane, and they're not going to require turn lane.
yeah, and they're not really going to do anything with it right now, which is sad. So
So does anybody have an update on Connected Road area?
Yes, JR, we at our last meeting.
3 weeks ago, yes, Judge brought up, we discussed several concerns along the bypass, different things we've just mentioned there and ran it by them.
So to Rob's question about Connector Road, JR, at our meeting, they shared the design has been approved, and in next year's budget is right away and utilities on Connector Road.
Yes.
Improvements.
My concern is if you've been out there, you see they're starting to develop that Finley property there.
Yeah.
It's a big project going in right there.
which property?
The Finley property, right there at the corner of Old Oxford. I mean, that's
So
going to jam
what
up
has
a
been
lot of people
proposed
there.
right there at Old Oxford on Connector is a roundabout.
A
Yes.
roundabout, yeah.
Yep. And they know that development and all that's just,
And one
Yeah.
comment on that Lexus Way extension, when I was chair on the planning commission, Stephen Smith and I took that to the mayor and showed it to him, said this could alleviate a lot of traffic if we just extend this road over to Old Oxford. So I'm glad to hear that that's back on the table. Hopefully we can push that, because I think it needs some help out there.
I agree. Thank you,
Isn't that
Rob.
supposed to be like an RV park though too? Or,
It was
campground.
proposed.
Campground. I'm sorry.
Proposed, but I don't think it ever,
It's changed now.
yeah.
The campground was supposed to stay on the Bluegrass RV area.
Yeah.
This is a whole new project going
Oh,
on.
I thought it was going back there. So I was going to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Judge, just,
Actually, though, flea market property would have been the campground.
just for
Mr. Wallace.
clarification, on our meeting on Thursday, we have the hearing at 6 o'clock.
Let me make a clarification that I need to reach out to Keith Winstead. Stacy pointed out, and just trying to stay consistent, we'll do the hearing right at 6 o'clock instead of what I had said like 5:30. I'd mentioned doing it earlier, but to stay consistent, we'll do it right at 6, and I'll communicate to Mr. Winstead so his clients know, and then we need to get that out.
So it's been advertised already.
I did.
Yeah.
It'll be in the,
So-
it won't
But
be in
you
the
were-
paper till the 12th.
But it says 6 on the thing.
But it says 6. Stacy got it right.
Yeah.
So,
And so after that, then we'll have our regular business meeting.
yes.
So, the hearing will be like a special meeting, right? Special call?
Well, he'll open the hearing. It'll be the first item on the agenda after roll
So
call.
it will be part of the agenda?
Yes,
It's not
and then
special.
close it after and then move on.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments?
Judge,
Rick Hostetler.
back to the road issues that everybody's been mentioning. Wasn't there a fatality, I think it was with a pedestrian, a week or 2 or 3 ago at Lusby Path area where the intersects the bypass?
Yes, sir. And I brought that up to KYTC that it needed overhead illumination, and they told me to call KU and look at adding a light pole, but it would be at the expense of local entities. So JR and I have got that on our list because we do feel like it needs some overhead illumination.
And you don't pay for the pole, you just pay more.
What about making that a right in and right out only on Lusby Path, and just keeping people? I know this was a pedestrian fatality, but there's also I think there've been many accidents where people are trying to turn left onto the bypass.
No, I use that quite often, Rick, and I feel like I'm playing Frogger every time I do it. And I always say, why did I not go back down to the light? If you would like me to ask the city if they would like to collaboratively make that request, right in, right out, I can certainly ask for their feedback.
Well, that's one of the things that's going on out in front of Walmart. And we right in and right out only.
Yeah.
Is that still a private
No
road?
crossing the bypass in front of Walmart.
And while we're at it, let's talk about one other. On 460, before you get to McClellan Circle next to Rural King, in my opinion, that entrance into that area ought to be right in, right out only. The only way that you can fix it is to put the yellow dividers up, much like we did out at Walmart.
Well, you could do an island too. You can do an island coming out of because I'm looking at it and a couple of things like that. We want
that turn lane, though.
Yeah.
You block that turn lane, turn left towards Walmart.
There shouldn't be any entrance in there coming from the east
An island on the actual as you come out.
That forces
that forces right in, right out.
Yeah.
But we thought the cheapest way, and I've actually talked.
It's cheaper because you end up tearing them all.
Yeah, it might be true. So in my mind, that has been a conversation I've had with the city about making that right in, right out only as well.
So those have to go through state approval.
They have to go through the state. They have to,
which is very tough.
and the state wants us to participate in the cost.
Yeah.
So, any other new business? Would there be a motion to adjourn? Motion, second by Kelly Corman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. 1 hour, 4 minutes.
That's pretty good. We got the 11:45 Zoom again.
Yes. Oh, yeah.